afternoon, everybody, and we're going to go back and start working on this project again. So I'm gonna probably do maybe like 45 minutes, I believe, of this, and then we'll call it a day because I have plans today. So let's just get a little bit to work. So I'm gonna cd into dev, github active, and then ppmc. And I guess the first thing, let's see kind of what we have for, oh, that's what we were doing. We were kind of setting up the database, right? So I want to set up the database first. And that's what I kind of want to do, right? So usually I already kind of have a high idea or a general idea of the database design. So our database design is going to be something along the line of this. So we need to create around 4 tables. Yeah, 4 tables. Yeah. So I'm thinking when I run my application, right? I run cargo run. We assume, or my program's gonna have to look or interact with a database. Where should we store this database? So we should probably store this in maybe the .config. So let me search that up. Where do applications store? I know it'd be somewhere in, I believe, something called the XDG directories. Local systems. Data, so XDG directories. So I think I'm gonna use the data directories probably as a good place to store this. But I don't know if I should define this creation of this database as a behavior within the actual application, or maybe I just make a script that runs using bash. I think I'll do this through I'll do this within like the I'll do this within a file on the system whenever you run cargo run. So ls mvim source, and then I'm gonna create main views, and then maybe database.rs. This database.rs file, and I'm trying to use some good names here. So the name of this file is gonna deal with, I guess, setting up the database. So I think, right, database or database.rs. Yeah, I'm gonna just call it database.rs. And here I need to, I think maybe SQLite Rust. I think I'm gonna just use a cargo directory to, create, and then I need to add XDG directory. Rust crates. Okay, so what I'm saying is, we need to add a crate that will allow me to write, allows me to, make a way to interface with SQLite, and then I need another directory to get the XDG directories, to get XDG based directory specifications. So a directory relative to which user specific data file should be written to. So I need a Rust XDG directories, or I think it's called Rust projects, right? No, maybe it's directories crate. Right now I'm looking at my other monitor, and I am what do I use? So I'm gonna create that, and cat dot slash I believe ytx, and cargo.toml should explain how I'm doing this. So I use the directories crate, so Rust directories crate. Yeah. Here, Tiny Library with minimal APIs provides platform-specific user-accessible locations. So the XDG base directory. Okay. So let's go compute location of cache for specific applications. Config .dir. I want data .dir. Local share. Yep. So this is, and what I'm looking at is here. So we're gonna do a cargo add directories, right? I think. Yep. And then I want to add not that one. I believe it's gonna be cargo. It's gonna be the interface for SQLite. So yes, cargo add SQLite. Cargo add SQLite. And I want to try my best to create the nicest looking code possible. That's kind of my goal for this project, right? Is obviously I want it to work, but I want this code to be easily readable, good names, good practices, right? So what exactly is this whole file going to be doing? We will check if database has been created. If not, create database and all necessary tables. And I think that's really it. That's all we're doing for this. Check if database has been created, and then if not, create database and all necessary tables. And yeah, so and it'll just be functions here. It'll just be functions that are going to be calling from main. So we'll probably use, you know, pub fn. So we want to create a function that will right now I'm thinking, should I just make a function that checks if, you know, the data, and then we're probably going to need a way to check if a file already exists, or in this case check if the database file already exists, right? So connection open, and is this the path? Okay, so for now I'm gonna move this JM. I also do kind of add for these streams my keystrokes. I feel like that's somewhat interesting for some people, or at least like I would like to see how I'm moving. But off topic, I kind of forgot is when we're making a connection. Let's see. Give our example. I want to see this connection, and then the connection takes a path. So yeah, it'll take a path. So open a read and write connection to a new or existing database. Okay. It's a URI. But I think we're gonna probably do something along the lines of this, right? So I want to check if it exists. So check if database file exists. And then within this function, we will use the XDG, the project's Rust create library to get the path of that file, right? We don't need to pass the path of that file from main. So let's go to project stir, right? And then here, we're gonna need to up here do a use directories project dirs, and then we'll have here pub fn, and this function name should be, and this function name can be more descriptive, so check, wait, data, this will be if database exists. So I'm trying to think of a good name for this. I don't know if a good name for this would be, not check, but it should be the, because I'm thinking check if database exists, and then like this is gonna be a bool to do, right? But I think this should, the name of this function should reflect on the return type. So is database exists? Is database exists? Is that a good name? I'm trying to get an idea of what are some good names for this. maybe database exists is a good name, right? Database exists. True, right? Database exists will return true. If it exists, false if it doesn't exist, right? Yep. And now I'm going to plan to store the data directory, and it'll be home.local/share and then the project path. We're gonna be using the data dir. So here we'll do if let sum, and then we'll say projdirs is equal to projectors from, and then in this case com what is this? What's this supposed to be? Bar app foocorp bar app com.foocorp.app. Yeah, so qualifier organization application. The reverse domain notation for the application. Honestly, I don't think I'm gonna pass any qualifier organization no matter org. There's not necessarily for a qualifier for this. So empty string, and then here I'm gonna name this ppmc. And then it's gonna be a function, and then we'll do projdirs.config dir. Right now, if we get, so here's gonna say get proj directory. If we can get that proj directory, okay, right, we have a path, right? What does data dir return though? It returns a path. And yeah, it returns a path. So I want to use that path to check if a file exists, right? I have the path, and then I know what the name of the database is going to be, so we can probably name it ppmc.db. So what is the name? What is the file extension for SQLite database? So s.sqlite3. So I'm gonna name this let, and this path should not be mutable, right? So file name, right? So fname is equal to, this case I'm gonna name it ppmc.sqlite3. And then I want this to be dot to string. And then I want to let entire path. So let path equal projdirs. Actually, can I just make this into a path? So we go std path rust. I want it just to be a path. So path new, yep. Path. Change to the end, and I'm gonna do path new, and this should be ppmc dot sqlite3. And then can I add two paths together? I think, nah, this won't work. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna name this so let f name equal string from and then I'm gonna let path equal this, and then I want to turn this dot to an str plus that, you know, we're doing, yeah, that, and then plus fname. Database. I'm gonna do mvim source, and then in main.rs we'll do mod views. This is mod database. And I guess maybe I'll call database if database, and then the function name should be database exists. If the database exists, oh, is it print ln database does not exist? Trouble. Control W cannot run a string to an option string. So okay, we should unwrap dot unwrap. try this instead. Alright, let's see. So, yeah, can I add an str and str? It requires an own string on the left. What does string lossy do? Maybe like this is better. 2. You know, let data directory, let's let data dir equal proj dirs dot config dir dot to str dot unwrap. I'm gonna delete inside this. Cargo clippy. Oh, I mean, is that working? Database RS. Yeah, okay, so that's why. So this is working, and then what I'm doing here is I have my data directory. Now this is a string. The data dir should be a string. So now I can do string from, and then maybe do data dir, and then I'm gonna turn this into a reference of a string slice, and then plus fname. Is this not an own string? Create an own string. I wonder why this is not owned. I guess that fixes it. So now we have our path, and then now we need to check if that path exists. So it's like std file exists. Rust. So use stdfs, and then I can pass in a path. Oh wait, path already has and exists. Exists. Returns true, the path points to an existing entity. Oh, okay. So then I don't need this. I can just now do use. I can just do we'll just return if it exists. So we'll do path dot exists. Okay, yeah. And then this will be a result boolean. Path dot try exist dot expect can't check existence of database. And then no. I guess Clippy. Forward to O and then 2 owned. That's a little populated, but I don't know if that's readable. Seems like we need a generic E. Do I define the error? About to make my custom error type. I mean, what I can do is, you know, oh no, I'll just return like an error from projects directory if I can't even get my, that's the error, right? So option, yeah, it'll just be option, and then can I just do none? No, we'll do it's because this returns an option. I'm saying here we failed to retrieve user's project directory. We should return some type of error. So, what is a default error I can return in Rust? What am I doing? It's because I want to return an error, but like the error should be either like say there's two types of errors. Actually no, yeah. So say we fail to even read. How would I implement a way to return different error types in Rust for one function? Like that. So I think what I'm gonna do instead is I am just going to unwrap everything and I will return, so change word, I'm gonna turn an okay bool, or is it some bool? Oh, it's option. I'm gonna turn an optional bool and then change word unwrap expect. I think the path, yeah. I'm gonna just do use the exists functionality, and this will so if we return true, source main.rs here. I'm going to do a match. So, oh, we'll just do an unwrap. Yeah, we'll do an unwrap. So, if dot database does exist dot unwrap failed to check database existence. I have an idea. So, if our path dot exists, we'll return okay, true, else okay. Not okay. Oh, kind of want to print cargo clippy. Ooh, cargo run. File false. Okay, database does not exist. I like that. Okay, so we can we can check it, and then so now we got to create all the directories. So if it doesn't exist, right, and we didn't fail to pull the project directories, the other thing is that, I mean, there's other cases where I'm thinking, okay, what about the case where the false, we need to worry about what the error is, right? So maybe we should probably, I need better error handling, so let me go to database. I'm gonna write this down. This could mean two things. Either file does not exist, or we may not have the rights to complete this operation. So if the latter, or if, right, is that how you say it? The latter. Right. If the latter, don't attempt to create database. Don't attempt to create fname at path. Added check for database existence. Alright, I think that might be it for the stream. We got almost around 53 minutes done, maybe of programming, so I think I'm gonna stop there. I do have a thing to go to later, so I'm gonna be doing that. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I think probably for the next stream, I'm gonna create a way to handle the error portion of checking for a database existence, right? Because if it doesn't exist, I need to know that, right? And then that's when I can go and attempt to create those directories. But if the return type of exist for path is false, even if there's an error, right? So this will just return false regardless. So should we care about what the error is? Or should we attempt to create the file directories regardless if this is false? Maybe. But even if this is false and then we attempt to create those directories, we'll probably also get a false, so the application probably won't be able to run anyways, so we'll just, panic, and that's it. So I think we probably don't need to, but maybe that's something to think about later. So thank you guys for tuning in, and hopefully by next stream we can start, I think probably what I'll do is I'll track down all the commands that I use to create the tables, and then just use SQLite 3, or I will use the SQLite 3 crate to automate the creation of those databases. So yeah, thank you guys, and hope you guys have a good day / night whenever you're watching this.